Welcome back to Bravo Bedside Banter. I'm Rachel, and I'm here with my co-host Meredith.
Hello. Happy Friday. Or I guess it's Friday whenever we're recording.
Yeah.
New week.
Happy listening day to everyone else.
Yes. There's been a lot going on in the Bravo universe.
So, Johnny, J and Alexis are engaged. Tom Girardi got convicted or found guilty. And what else was it? There was something else that was big.
Britt and Jax.
Oh, the serving of the divorce papers.
So this is what, the public finds out, that this happened this week. But I've been seeing online, and I hate that there's spoilers. I hate that in the time of like internet stuff that there are spoilers, but I saw online that she actually filed a while ago, but they're reenacting it today. Isn't that public knowledge? Can't we find out?
Yeah, we can find out when she served him papers. And I saw some documents that other people had posted, like other Bravo accounts, saying that she had filed for this over a month ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I could see, Brittany loves fame as much as Jax does.
Right. And they're doing it for the plot, right?
Yeah. They're getting divorced for sure.
And I think that they probably drew it out a lot longer than anticipated to secure a spot on the Valley, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They both need those paychecks. What's Jax going to go back doing, stealing sunglasses? They need the coin.
I will say that it is going to make me want to watch the season. I want to see it unfold.
That, and then we're going to see Jesse and Michelle dating new people. We're going to see Nia with her babies. There's going to be a lot of fun things. Janet with her baby.
So that was not really surprising, but they, broke the news this week. At least that's what they were filmed doing. And then Tom Girardi, okay, that was also not very surprising. But I guess this has implications for Erica in the next season of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, because she was spending all of the money, and she can't say there's no way she can have that much money and just not question it.
Right.
Yeah, she knew. She 100% knew. That's why she was coming up with all those crazy stories.
Yeah.
My son went to go help Tom because he slipped and fell and he got stuck in a snowstorm. And
yeah, in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It doesn't snow in Pasadena.
I'm curious to see the future of Beverly Hills too, because all the stuff that's going on with Kyle. So, nothing has come out on when they're going to release a new season or if they've even started filming, right?
No.
So that's something to look forward to. And then also unshocking is Johnny J and Alexis. So they got engaged, and sometime this week, or she posted about it, and the crowd goes mild. The crowd is so
the comments. She turned off comments on hers.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning, that she has no comments, but every other news source, including People that she sold it to, they are all all of the comments are bad. So
this is, of course, a rebound relationship for both of them. It's my understanding that she was also in a pretty, quote unquote, serious long-term relationship prior, and that ended. And so this is both a rebound relationship for both of them. Do you have any predictions on how this will pan out?
Oh my God. I think they'll get married, but I think they'll be they won't even make it to getting a divorce. They'll get it annulled. It'll be a 3-month marriage.
In the names of Jesus.
And I also predict they'll get married by the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
They'll be, and she's going to have a ridiculous gaudy wedding.
Really? I could see them just doing something separate. It's going to be all over social, but I could see them doing something just to do something and then having a giant party or something.
Well, I'm sure they'll try to do it during the season so that Bravo pays for it.
True. She did secure her spot for next season. Maybe
She
she'll come
did.
back as a full orange, holding an
Oh,
orange instead
this
of a friend
wait.
of.
The line I've been waiting for when Teddy goes, "Welcome,
Oh,
housewives and Vicky."
and Vicky. I mean, cut the
It's like,
freaking lady a
Teddy,
break.
remember where you came from. Yes, John Mellencamp is your father, but you got kicked off the show because no one liked you. Vicky's been on this show for 20 whatever seasons, 20 million seasons.
And truly, Teddy's trying to stay relevant by the podcast.
Well, she's trying to stay relevant by her friendship with Tamara.
And there's that. So, I don't know. That was so shady. I loved that they did like a little Traders crossover or something, though.
I know everyone keeps telling me to watch Traders, but I've not watched Traders.
Oh, it's so good, Rachel. What the
I
hell?
know. I need to watch it.
It is so like it's kind of like a gateway into reality because it brings in the game part of it and the challenge part of it and the, reality people like Phaedra. Oh
Mhm.
my God. And that was so good to see her on TV because then it totally like reinvigorated my love for her and she's coming back. So I think it manifested her coming back to Atlanta for sure.
I love that.
You next season, whenever it comes out, you should totally watch it because it's not like you have to watch, season 1 and
Right.
season 2 to make
It's
it
a
make
game show,
sense.
like,
Right, right.
yeah.
The one liners though have been so good, Rachel.
I can't wait. Okay, I'm gonna watch it. I just add it to my unending list of reality TV. I did take a break from reality TV this week because Love Island. I caught up, and I put on Chimp Crazy. Have you watched Chimp Crazy?
I am bought in. Okay,
I'm
totally bought in.
okay. What do you think about her breastfeeding the chimp?
Crazy. Like one, crazy. Two, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to go off and do something like that. I see how people though get so attached to these animals because of how like human like that they can be. That the line of like this is an animal and not a human. I understand. I mean, I don't personally understand, but I get how people can get to that place. And
Totally.
I mean, I know I have a dog and my dog has human eyes and I look at him and I'm like, you're my little baby boy. Like it's like having a little like toddler with me that just can't speak, but follows me around and looks at me and wants love and affection and his basic needs taken care of.
Yeah, I
But
know.
I am not breastfeeding my dog.
No, I know. I could. So I was watching it. And I was torn. I was like, "That's so disgusting." And like, is that animal abuse or is that also like bestiality?
Mm.
Or is it ethical because like she's a mother who like breast milk is really nutritious. Uh but she didn't need to like have it suck on the tit. She could have gave it in a
In
bottle.
a bottle. I
Like
agree.
she could have given
Totally.
it if she could have it in a bottle, I don't think I would have been weirded out. It would have been like, that makes sense. You're trying to take care of this. Like it's weird because but it makes sense being like where they're from, the lack of access to information, the lack of access to like a vet that probably knows what the fuck is going on. Giving the chimp the breast milk in the bottle, I would have been like, that's kind of strange, but like makes sense.
Well, people bottle feed. I mean, even just like the other lady, is it Tanya?
Uh-huh.
She was bottle feeding, her camels and all of her kangaroo in a diaper.
So then I was thinking, because then this got me on the fixation of like people that have like breast milk fetishes or
Um,
like or like baby fetishes, want to be like milked or nursed like a baby. And then I was like, I wonder how many people have drank breast milk from their partner's titty when their partner is lactating.
I'm
Like then like I
sure.
just want to try it. Like I feel like more than we think.
I mean, I have never been in that position, but I mean, I don't say like latching, but I would want to try it if it were there. Like, what does it
Yeah.
taste like? Like, if I had a child and I was breastfeeding, I'd want to know, like, what does it taste like to them?
Yeah. Well, would you let Sam if Sam was like, I want to suck on your titty
No,
and get the breast
no,
milk out?
no. I don't like that.
I think I would
Oh,
say yes.
you would.
Yeah, because I'd be curious. Not out of like a sexual nature. I'd just be like really curious and be like, I want you to tell me what it's like. I can't suck my own titty.
Yeah. I'm sure he would. I don't know. I don't know how he would think of
I bring
that.
this up because this is a real fetish. Like a lot of people do have this like breast milk fetish.
Yeah. Well, and also like you were talking the infant too.
Yeah.
So I think that the number is probably higher than we would think because of curiosity.
I
I
think
think
curiosity,
it's a
not
natural curiosity.
totally. It's a natural curiosity. If it's done consensually, like there's not really a big deal. The problem with the chimp is that it can't be consensual.
Right. Well, I also think too that I mean most people have sucked on a titty before in their lives, like
Like,
breastfed, right?
yeah, almost all of us. Because even the ones who maybe weren't breastfed, someone tried to get them to latch and they didn't. So they've probably sucked on a titty. And if they haven't sucked on a feeding titty, they've sucked on an adult titty.
Yeah, totally. Who doesn't
Yeah,
love a good titty?
right.
So I don't know. I would need to think on what my response would be to that because that's an interesting perspective, and it is like a natural, like we do it. It's a
Yeah.
natural thing that we do.
Okay, so this is another curiosity I have. There is breastfeeding has been all up in my mind this week because the Chimp Crazy. I couldn't get my mind off of that. I was like, that's so strange. Like, what would I do if I walked in and my mom was just like her monkey on one and my brother on the other, or whatever? Like, what? But then this woman that I follow on social media, she's like polyamorous. She's a therapist. She has a husband and a wife. They all live together. She and her wife wanted to get pregnant at the same time so that they could both help each other with the
Breastfeed.
babies, and so they
Yes.
could breastfeed together. And they posted the therapist that I follow. She had the baby like 3 months before her wife did, and she posted a bunch of pictures the other day of them like taking turns breastfeeding the baby. And I was really torn about this. I was like, that's my first inclination was that's disgusting. And then I was like, Rachel, this is how it used to be. Like, this was really
Yeah.
common in villages to like help other women and not put all of the breastfeeding on one person. And so that way you could have like a break.
Well, and also I think if you couldn't produce, then
Yeah.
there were people that could, and at the end of the day, your child is fed and
Right.
nourished. Or if you are the person that was feeding, you are feeding and nourishing somebody else in your community for the sake of like building community. And that is a part of your community. And this now tiny human is a part of your community.
Yeah. I had to walk back my own judgments and think about it and undo them because at first I was really judgmental.
Interesting. I'm
Yeah, it was
curious.
interesting how
Let
I
us know.
felt so strongly about that.
Yeah. But then also not to like an adult, I guess, with the, I don't know. I don't know how I
Yeah,
feel about it.
it's really interesting. I don't at the end of the day, like it's not my baby. I don't have any say in it, and it's just a not a normal thing that you see among people like sharing lactating partners sharing babies on their titties. It's not something you see super often.
I'm sure it probably occurs again more often than people care to. I don't think people are like advertising like, yeah, my friend fed my child with her tin. Like, I don't
Right,
think people are
exactly. That
out
yeah,
here.
yeah. If you had a friend that was breastfeeding at the same time as you and you like and they offered because you were tapped out, maybe your nipples are like so raw or like bit or whatever. They're like, I can feed your baby. What would you say? Would you do that?
Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
I again never been in that situation circumstance,
Yeah.
but I know like but from having friends that have had babies, the
Yeah.
what feels, I don't want to say burden, but the time burden of
It is a
breastfeeding
time
and the
burden.
energy burden that it brings. I mean, of course, it's a benefit and you're nourishing a child, but it's exhausting. And I see my friends, they're like, man, this shit kind of sucks. Like, they're grateful for it, but also it takes time away from your day. It influences how you live your life and how you go about your day. So if I were like down and didn't want to and somebody offered to, fuck yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks. I owe you one.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is probably like fucked up individualism and like deep embedded like white people mentality that I've indoctrinated or internalized that grossed me out, when actually it's like a pretty normal and healthy thing, I would say, for women to be able to give other women breaks.
Well, and think about too, like I know a lot of babies who are born very prematurely and are in the NICU, they can take donor milk whenever
Mm-hmm.
their parent can't be there to, feed them,
Totally.
if they can take breast milk. So yeah, I mean, that's a similar circumstance. And that way you don't know what that person, how they're living their life, what they're eating, how they're nourishing themselves. I mean, you would hope that if someone's donating their milk that they're, taking care of themselves, but that's a stranger too.
There was this episode on Netflix, I forget this show, and it was like men who bought breast milk under the counter, like from women that would, they didn't donate their milk, like they had excess supply, but instead of donating, they sold it on like the dark web or on like
Of course.
Craigslist probably, to these men who were either, it was a kink or it was a kink or a fetish of theirs to drink the breast milk, and or they were bodybuilders, and the like all of the collagen etc in breast milk is super, it helps you build really fast, that's why babies get like so
Oh,
healthy.
that
And
makes
so
sense.
all of that was a really fascinating episode on Netflix. Obviously, I have a lot of curiosity around breastfeeding and people with breast milk fetishes.
Let's do a deep dive. Let's touch base.
Yeah,
Let's both do some homework and touch base on that.
I'll send you this episode because it was like a longer part of a docu series where like every episode was a different like kind of strange addiction, and this was one.
Whoa. Okay. Lots to
It's
think about.
lots
Let
to
us
think about.
know if wherever you're watching, give us a comment and let us know what your thoughts
And
are.
if you're watching Chimp Crazy, let us know what you think.
The wig.
The wig, the way she is so violent towards the PETA guy.
Oh my god. I She makes such good television. I mean, I would love. Sure, what she did was not was terrible, and I think that PETA ultimately was in the right to seek care for those
Yeah.
chimps. I loved her on my TV.
Oh,
I
she
love
was
her, and I
giving.
mean we're only on episode 2. I mean we have 2 more weeks.
Excuse
God
me. And the
bless.
fact
Thank
that
you.
she stole the chimp is in her basement, like
Yeah,
at the end of the last episode, did you see that?
yeah.
And I'm like,
And she's ruthless. She's like, fuck them.
I know
After
she.
after she did all of that crying, and then they're like, "We're gonna give you a minute," and she's like, "Fucking bastard" or something. They're like, "Ma'am, you are unmuted."
Yeah. She's just like it's the orange skin, it's the fake eyelashes, it's the wig, this combo of a human that comes onto our TV screen and really just teaches all of us as humans that there's a lot of people that exist in this world. A lot of different people.
Yeah,
I
a lot of people in Missouri.
A lot of people in Missouri.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's so funny. I can't wait for more of that to come
I know, me
out. And
too.
if you're listening to this and you're like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" It's on HBO Max.
Yeah, you have to
HBO
watch it. There's only 2 episodes out so far. There's going to be 4, 3 or 4.
4. Yeah, at least I think 4. But yeah. Okay, so anyways,
Meredith keeping
really,
us on track with my weird tangents.
no, I love it. I think it definitely has me thinking. But I'm thinking, so I actually had a conversation with somebody this week, and it had me thinking on some of your thoughts, and it also
Oh,
really did tie a lot to housewives. So in short, my conversation with this person is that they are really good friends. They're not fulfilled in a romantic way. They are single, but they
mhm.
have really strong emotional intimacy with somebody of the opposite sex, and that they are really close and really good friends. And I love that. And we talked about the importance of emotional intimacy and in a myriad of circumstances, romantic, friendship, and how you kind of need that. You don't necessarily even need that in a romantic partner. I have known people to where they get that fill, quote unquote, from friendships,
Yeah.
and that satisfies them, and that they just don't have that with their partner. Maybe their partner is not, emotionally available or have the emotional intelligence to show up in a intimate way like that.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about the benefits of that. And I was thinking, like, wow, we really do see how a lot of the women on Housewives in particular, they lean on each other. And you could tell the people that are actually friends, like the true friends, really do lean on each other when there are gaps in your romantic relationship. So I automatically was like, oh my God. And think about how Shannon leaned into Tamra so much. And in turn, Tamara would lean into her too, but Tamara also had the emotional intimacy with a partner, and Shannon didn't. And so that's just one example where it did ultimately. I mean, we saw earlier this season that Tamara was saying, it impacted my even husband was asking, why are you answering the phone? And my kids were asking, why are you answering the phone? Because it could take and leave you dry, where you don't have as much to provide for your children, your partner. And so I started thinking, like, it really can be beneficial. And I have talked with through clients about this, how it can be so just fruitful and healthy in a relationship to have that level of emotional intimacy outside of your romantic relationship, but
Totally.
to a point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
I
was
think,
wondering what you think. Yeah.
I think that, so Bell Hooks talks a lot about this in a lot of her writing. One of the books I'm looking for right now, but I think it's on my other shelf, is about love. She talks a lot about, like, the biggest lie patriarchy has taught women is that they will be emotionally fulfilled in their male partnerships, when, like, no one can emotionally fulfill women as much as women can. And how
That
we're taught.
part
Yeah,
louder.
exactly. And the book is phenomenal, and she really, like, just, like, deep dives into this lie that we've been taught to, like, we can only find it in our male partners, and then we have to give whatever's left to our kids, and then whatever's left from that we can give to ourselves, maybe. It doesn't really leave room for female friendships, and it doesn't leave room for, like, deep female friendships that you might have when you're single or when you before children. And it's when I my last year in Denver, being single again, when I had all of my friends that were living in the suburbs, married, having kids, I had so many friends, and I felt so fucking lonely because I didn't have any close friends who decentered men in their life or could prioritize me. Their partners were their priority. And it was really lonely being like, all of my friends have someone that's their priority, and I have no one that's thinking twice about me, or if I'm okay tonight, or if I really needed to hang out or talk, and they're too busy with their partner. um and that happened a couple times where I'd reach out to people and they'd say, like, sorry, I can't, I'm hanging out with my husband's grandfather, or like
Yeah.
my and it's like, dude, come on. Do you really need to hang out with your husband's grandfather tonight, every night?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and a big commitment I made when I moved to Hawaii was that I am only going to prioritize friendships in my life with women who don't center men. Like, I don't want to go through that loneliness I've ever felt again, and I won't. So I will not prioritize friendships with women unless they decenter men in their life.
Wow. And walk me through how you go through selecting, kind of filtering people out, and then also how that has impacted your friendships.
So a couple ways. So I found my one friend. She owns the Pilates studio I go to, and that's how I met her. She's in her 40s, divorced, single, doesn't want children. And she's very much like living life on her own terms. She moved to Hawaii to open this studio and to like live her dream, and wants to hang out with her dog and watch reality TV and go to the beach. Like we have the same core values as well. Like want to rot, watch reality TV, play with our dogs and go to the beach. And she like even neither of us are prioritizing dating. We've both dated, like gone on dates with people, but it's not been a priority of ours. And we have always prioritized each other over our time. Like I'm not going to cancel plans with her because some guy asked me on a date.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And she's not going to cancel plans with me because like this guy that she's seeing that doesn't live here calls her. Like he called her the other day and she's like, I can't talk to you. I'm with
Yeah.
Rachel. Like things like that. Um, I was starting to become friends with another woman, and in the beginning of us like starting our friendship dating, one of the second times we hung out, she was like, yeah, my boyfriend asked if you could come hang out with us tonight. And I told him absolutely not. And I was like, that means a lot to me that you said that you told him like, no, I'm hanging out with Rachel.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have those relationships. And even when I've lived in Denver and when I've also lived elsewhere, I would prioritize nights for us to have, just ladies' nights or just us. And because you need to foster that kind of relationship. And I think that that's totally healthy. And I prioritize that, recognize that myself, and I feel very fortunate that I do have a partner that is emotionally available and can understand that, and also has his own time and his own
Yeah.
friends, and we have that separation. But I can also feel fulfilled within him, and I think it's really interesting because I have been leaning on him more often now. Now that we live in Georgia, we don't, have all of our friends that we used to
Yeah.
nearby, and we don't have those connections, and it's not like I totally feel fulfilled in that. I feel for people though who totally rely in this emotional intimacy from someone else, which is healthy, and that can happen and be healthy and be great. But where I think it goes wrong is where you are being fulfilled on an emotional level, in this emotional intimacy level, to the point that you cannot show up and you start taking away from your romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Well, then if you meet somebody else who you're interested in who can provide that to you, and I think that that's whenever it becomes iffy and can definitely create problems.
Yeah. What type of problems do you see it creating, or what do you anticipate?
I mean, cheating,
Mm-hmm.
leaving, because especially if you are not being fulfilled in other domains, if you are being fulfilled in so many ways and it's just the emotional piece, like I've seen people work that out just fine. But then is that making you realize that you are not being fulfilled in other ways, or are you deciding that your fulfillment looks different?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Absolutely.
know that it's, and I can't tell you the exact point of where the line is. I definitely know it's different for people and circumstances, but I think people also take advantage of other people's emotional intimacy, emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I agree.
So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. And also, I mean, we see it with, I think, with girl friends, you see it because, like you said, nobody knows women like women know women.
Yeah, well, and women have just been taught to be vulnerable and open and to create emotional intimacy in ways that men have not been taught or allowed to. Like, I don't think that men are bad at being having emotional depth or emotional intimacy with men or women because of their brains. It's just the way society has like treated us, and it's just the way society has raised us. Like men, you can meet men who are have emotional intimacy and have emotional intelligence. It's just really hard because society has not allowed them to have that traditionally.
Totally. I think that I know people who are learning, and I know people who
Yeah.
are, evolving, which love to see it. But it is a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much room to hold space for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I thought that was just because I do also think too, like in relation to Shannon and Tamra,
Yeah.
it we witnessed it. I mean, how she explained it, it's like that is how you go from sharing emotional intimacy with a friend or any kind of, intimacy with a friend and, reciprocating, and then it becomes codependent.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious if part of Tamara's frustration was too that Shannon was so depressed and so upset but wouldn't do anything to change. Like, because if you ever had a friend that, like, I know I had this friend who her and her boyfriend broke up, like, I don't know, 15 times in the course of 2 years.
Mm.
And for the first like 5 or 6, she called me, was a mess, asked me to drop everything. I dropped things. I like changed a trip once and like canceled my trip. I canceled plans with my boyfriend. I did like a lot of things because she was like having a really hard time. And we got to like the 7th or 8th breakup and I looked at her and I was like, if you go back with him, that is okay, but you cannot call me as your primary source of comfort when you break up because you've like exhausted me. And at this point, you're continuing to go back to something that you know is harmful. I'll be
Mm.
here when you say, like, I'm finally done. And I'm not saying that I can't be in your life or your friend, but you can't call me the next time you break up and ask me to be there for you emotionally because you're not willing to change. And at this point, you're actually becoming an abuser towards me.
Mm. Totally. I have a friendship
Hmm.
that's kind of similar to that. And then I also have a family member like that. It's like, it's exhausting when
Totally.
it's the same thing over and over again. And
And they're not willing to
I,
change.
right. Well, I think a lot of it is a lot of people are not willing to, they know what they need to do and they're not willing to look into that
Totally.
and dive deeper on that. So,
Yeah.
wow. Well, thanks for that perspective.
Yeah. Thank you for yours too. I loved hearing it.
What else this week? Do you have any highlights of this week?
Um, of reality TV or life? What's
Whatever.
reality TV?
What's
What are
your,
my
do you
highlights?
have any highlights, hot takes?
My hot take is that I never want to see Teddy Mellencamp on my TV screen ever again.
That was mine. Or
Oh,
Teddy was actually my ick of the week.
okay, yeah. I was like, I'm so overseeing her. She, she got sued for her diet stuff, like her like Body by Teddy or whatever it is.
No.
Yeah, because she was basically just prescribing people like massive under eating and massive over exercising and being like, this is a health plan. And it's just like, no, you're in a calorie deficit because you're not like, yeah. And it was like really fucked up. A bunch of people developed eating disorders and like, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm over
I'm
it.
over Teddy. And then my ick of the week is. Ooh, what's my ick of the week? I don't know. Do you have what's your hot take? I'll think about my ick.
Yeah, because my ick was definitely Teddy Mellencamp. My hot take is if it is true that they are rehashing this whole divorce thing for the sake of the storyline, it's getting tired and I fear that reality TV is just down the fucking drain. Not entirely, but I'm over the overproducing of
The
things.
overproducing. That's my ick actually, is the overproducing. Like it feels hard to find a reality TV gem right now because everything feels so overproduced.
Well, and it's like, yes, talk about it that it happened. And
Yeah.
see stage a meeting of the girls about it and like that's how you open
Yeah.
up your season or something, but don't do that.
Don't redo it.
And that's so common. I mean, I know that people are probably listening to this like, that is what reality TV is. Yeah, I get it, but I'm over it. And that's my fucking ick. So, or that's my
Well,
hot
no,
take
because
or
good reality
whatever.
TV, you just get people that act a little unhinged
And
and
you
are
set them up in situations.
where they just show themselves. Like, that's good reality TV. I think that's also why Tamra is. I love Tamra, but she's like driving me nuts this season because she's trying so hard to produce herself. And it's like, chill,
Yeah.
stop.
And I think she actually even came out on her podcast about like, I'm doing just fine. I think I'm doing great. And
Oh,
people
God.
hate me, but I think I'm doing my job. People are trying to fire me, but you can't. That's basically.
Oh, my God. My sister came in. I wish I would have gotten a video of it. My sister came in this morning when I was watching the new episode, and she goes, "Who's that one that looks older than everyone?" And I was like, "Which one?" And she was like, "That." And she pointed to Vicky, and I was like, "Poor Vicky can't catch a break, even with my sister who has no idea what she's talking about."
Give Vicky a break.
I
Give my girl
know.
a break.
Vicky.
Dang. We'll teach Sarah.
I
She'll
know.
get it.
I'm gonna get some more reaction clips of her.
Love it.
Okay.
Cool. Well, that's really all I have this week.
Me too.
Yeah, please find us. We're on TikTok, Instagram. Send us an email, DM us, let us know how you feel. We're also on YouTube, Bravo Bedside Banter, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.